Hello, I'm back. I know, I haven't really even been here, but I'm back. So, yay! Woo! Yeah, so I've been really busy. I've literally moved to another country, so I haven't been able to do this on a very regular pattern, and then everything else that's happened in my life right now has kind of forced me to focus on that. So when I started doing this, I'd hoped to have been much further along and have continued a much more regular pattern, but unfortunately, life decided to play me in a different set of cards, so I rolled with those and it turned out great. So officially I am back, kinda, and I'm going to be making more videos on a regular basis. This is going to be the first of many to come. This will be happening on a monthly basis right now. That is literally how much time I can afford right now. I can afford a monthly upload of videos. So I'm going to be doing this once a month, every month. They'll be coming to you on the 1st of every month as well to get the ball rolling. Hopefully I'll be able to produce more videos when more time frees up for me, but at the moment I'm going to try and commit to just one video a month. I know that seems like a long stretch, especially with how popular YouTube is and everything and all that sort of stuff, but if you like my videos and you're happy to keep watching them, then they will be there. You just got to be patient with me. Unfortunately, life just hasn't got the opportunity for me right now to be able to make more on a regular basis. Plus, I'm also still learning the ropes, figuring out my own little style and all that sort of stuff as well. But anyway, without further ado, let's break down a movie. Let's go. Okay, so as you would have guessed from the title, we are breaking down the Tomorrow War, one of the popular, well, I say popular, it came out more than a month ago now, but when I first started doing this video, it was popular then, so I'm still doing it because I've written all the notes, I'm not going to stop. So The Tomorrow War is a film starring Chris Pratt, and he goes into the future to fight an apocalyptic war where he is having to take down these horrific monsters that have annihilated humanity down to the brink of extinction with only about 500,000 people left on the planet. It is an action sci-fi movie. It has a 3-act structure with a prologue, and we also deal with our main character's positive change arc in this film as well. What that means is that our character essentially believes in a lie at the start of the film, and throughout the journey of the movie, the character begins to realize the error of his lie and to find the truth and to believe in the truth wholeheartedly by the end of the film, which is what we are given here in this story. So we're going to be breaking down this story into a number of sections. Of course, you can just skip along to that section if you want to just listen to that bit, but if you want to listen to the whole thing, then it's all there for you as well, so easy peasy. So we're going to be starting off with structure and character arc. The reason why I'm putting the two into one is because it is almost impossible to talk about them separately. It's just impossible. Structure is focused around a character is driven by his arc. The arc is the nature of the story and the progression and where it needs to go. Then going to go on to world building because we want to know what the world is like, both the ordinary and the special world, as that's where we're going to find a lot of the lore, a lot of the themes and symbolisms as well come from the world that the character is inhabited in and goes to. And it's where he learns his lessons. So seeing how that world operates around our character becomes a vital part of the story. Then we're going to be talking about the theme. After all, what is the point of a story in the first place if it doesn't have a theme? Some writers don't intend to have a theme, and that's cool. But usually there's one in there you can talk about it subjectively or objectively, but there's usually always a theme in some way, or if there's not, I'll make one up. Who cares? It's a story. Let's do it. And then at the end of and then we're going to be talking about the flaws, because I do think there are a few flaws in this film that miss the boat a little, miss an opportunity here. Time travel is a big one in my opinion, but we will get to that later. And that will conclude the video. So without further ado, let's start with the prologue. Where to begin except before the beginning in a prologue. So the movie's runtime is about 2 hours and 18 minutes. It's a 3-act structure with a prologue. And as usual, the prologue is bringing us in, strongly emphasizing its use on engaging the audience's excitement, its adrenaline, it's action-packed, it's intense. It's not action-packed, I take that back, but it is intense because of course it starts off with Chris Pratt, aka Dan falling from the sky and almost landing right next to a pool, becoming his own little puddle of mess. Puns. Yeah, don't hate me. This also is a great way to provide some mystery, as we don't know why Dan's falling through the sky, and we also don't know where he is and why the world is looking the way that it is. Now, obviously, if you've seen the trailer, you know exactly why. But if you didn't, that's kind of the intent of this prologue right here. It's to kind of give us that excitement, that kick us in, put us on the edge of the seat really quickly, because the next few moments in the movie are kind of more of a slow pace, because they introduce so much of the world to us and so much of what's happening in present time. Okay, so then we move back into modern day, into the ordinary world. So we're introduced to Dan in this ordinary world, who is our main character of the film, and we see Dan is in an awkward position in life. He's feeling stuck, he's feeling the struggle, he's feeling the need to want to be more.
You know what it takes to be the best. You gotta say to yourself, I will do. I will do. You have to think this. What nobody else is willing to do. Yeah, right? I am meant to do something special in my life.
We then quickly move on to our inciting incident, the moment where Dan sits down with his daughter and is introduced to the special world. In this case, it is the soldiers from the future who time travel onto the soccer field and create a call to adventure for our character, who then rejects that call straight away as he wants to continue living his life with his daughter and his wife. Now, what's also really important in these first few moments of the movie is that we actually get introduced to Dan's lie as well, which is his issue with his father. Now, the lie is, of course, the character flaw, the moral belief that is leading Dan down the wrong path in life, and what will inevitably set him off into the special world where he will learn his lesson and come out better, knowing the truth and believing in the truth. So in this case, the lie is that he believes that his relationship with his father is not able to be, is irreparable? Unable to be repaired, unrepairable, irreparable. He can't repair it, it can't be done. So because Dan can't do that, he believes that so strongly that it's just not going to happen, that he actively makes the choice to not try to repair his relationship with his father.
No, you didn't leave for us. You quit because you're a coward. And you still are. Stop sending Christmas cards to my house. You're never gonna know, Miri. You don't get a second chance.
And due to this reluctant nature to wanting to repair his relationship with his father, he is then forced into going to the special world. It is his active decision to refuse any form of the truth that pushes him over into the edge, as he is unable to release the mechanism that is going to force him into the special world. So he actively makes the choice to keep it on instead of repairing the relationship with his father, and therefore agreeing to go into the special world, which is of course the war in the future, which is wiping out humanity. Oh, also, side note, so there's a really good moment in Act 1 where Dan is told that he's got 7 years to live. That is a great use of foreshadowing, and we'll get to that in probably a minute. Okay, cool. Then we have the first half of the second act, where we see Dan trying desperately to save everyone, of course losing a few people along the way, as you inevitably would in a war. So, good, it's a war. And we of course also have the introduction to all the monsters and creatures that he's having to fight as well. We have the discovery that the leader of the human resistance to the alien threat is indeed, in fact, his daughter, the same, the very own from Act 1, grown up 30 years in the future. And she is the one that actually called Dan here because she could use his assistance. And we also get more of a hint as to why he actually only has 7 years to live from his current present time, and we also get the introduction to the fact that his relationship with his daughter isn't actually as stable as he thought it was. Pushing through, we go on to our midpoint, the moment when Dan discovers why he's going to be dying in 7 years, and that is because he gives up on his family, because he sees that there is no future for him in the aspects of life that he wants. That perpetuates his feelings of resentment towards his own family, pushing himself away from them and eventually causing his own death.
You never seemed happy with your life. And then on my 16th, we got a call from the hospital. You were in a car accident.
And this becomes a huge shock to him as well as us as the audience, because we as an audience never see Dan being a terrible father. We see him being a great father towards his daughter, being there to try and comfort her as much as possible, and to try and be there for his family. Therefore, the second half of the second act is him repairing the relationship with his daughter from the future and trying desperately to save her, as well as everyone in present day as well, because Dan strongly believes that he can and he needs to do this. However, of course, he doesn't succeed in saving his daughter in the future, but with the twist that he does have the poison, I guess, that will wipe out the aliens, and we move on to Act 3. So in Act 3, Dan therefore takes charge. He knows what he needs to do and he's going to do it. He's going to be great at it, and he goes and battles the monster once and finally, and with the help of his dad, who's now, his relationship with him is now mended, has come together, and they are able to battle the creatures together and help save the day and the world and the future. Wow, 3 in 1 there. Bloody oath, good on him. I definitely think for me, the world building was actually a really great aspect of this film. I know I have my thing about the time travel, and we'll get there, we'll get to it. I promise you, I will talk about it in the flaws section, because time travel always has flaws. But personally, like, look, a good time travel movie, it's not impossible. There's obviously, you can count of tons of great time travel movies. And in this case, for the world building, for the time traveling, they gave us exactly what we needed to help understand the time travel. They said, yes, we can do it, we can get you to the future, we can get you to that point in the future and this point in the present. But we did obviously, you could obviously go further down the rabbit hole of figuring out how the time travel works. It's what they did, I felt, worked well enough for me to understand the purpose of the time travel for the movie, and then for the theme and the thematic purpose of the film, I think the time travel was definitely a necessary aspect to it as well. It didn't feel like they were just going to the future for the sake of it. It did actually serve a purpose to the story it was trying to tell, and the way it introduced us and its believability for me worked. Obviously, if it didn't work for you, let me know. Write it down in the comments. The introduction to the monsters I thought was fantastic. That was such a great way to introduce it. It was very, it was almost horror in a way, you know what I mean? It had that suspense, it had that draw in, and they intentionally waited until that moment in order to show us the monsters, because obviously such a big aspect of the film is that slow introduction. It is purposefully not showing us the monsters at the first act that leads us into seeing it at the second act. I do have a little nitpick about it though, and we'll get to that in the flaws, but otherwise I thought that was an almost perfect way to introduce the monsters. Of course, the everyday world as well. So I think what was really, really fantastic, and something that I think a lot of movies are kind of missing in a lot of ways, even Marvel to an extent don't really address this side of the world building, is when you have an event that affects the world, seeing how the world reacts. And we got to see that in the news and the articles and the writing and all that sort of stuff as well. And seeing that in play for this film, I think really worked as well, because you got to see the world reacting to the fact that it's like, hey, what's the point in everything? We've got 30 years left. So naturally there's going to be anarchy. Naturally there's going to be people who've just like thrown in the towel and say, who gives a flying and charging at it like no man's land. Like there's just, it was good to see that. It was good to feel that impact. And we got to even bring it down into a scene with kids in high school and how even they were like, what's the point in school? Because in 30 years I'm dead. Like there's like nothing serves a purpose anymore. And I think that is a really fantastic aspect of the story. And then even at the end of the film, when they talk about how these creatures were discovered, which was kept as a mystery all the way through until Act 3, where we discovered that they were actually thrown in from outer space and deep dived into the deep dark chasms of Russia, I think in Russia. And in Russia, they were kept frozen under ice for thousands of years. And it is indeed because of global warming that they were thawed out, and then they started wreaking havoc and destroying the world. So what is the point of all this film? When you put it all together, when you combine the character arc, when you combine the world building, what does this story mean? What is it trying to tell you? What is it trying to teach us? What is its reflection on life that it is trying to make a point by saying? Well, when we look at the fact that he's gone into the future and he sees the doom and gloom, he comes back to the present and has his second chance to make amends. After having failed to stop the end of the world at the end of Act 2, he then has a second chance at the beginning of Act 3, literally because time travel. We also know from the fact that at the start of Act 1 that he himself does not believe in second chances, and at the end of the film,
Second chances are really hard to come by.
well, he obviously does. And then we also see that he is reunited with his family, and his final lines in the film even reflect the fact that there is an importance on family.
Family. Because my best future, it turns out, was always right in front of me.
Therefore, we know that 1, it is family, and 2, it is believing in second chances. So the theme could be anything along the lines of it is important to give ourselves a second chance in life and to give those we care about a second chance in life so that we can all become better and stronger human beings, yada, yada, yada. But we also have a lot of other little subliminal themes in there, well, not subliminal, just smaller themes that are at play. We have ideas and nuances like the relevance and the importance of knowledge, as we have the kid who had that obsession with volcanoes is the one that actually helps save the planet by his knowledge and understanding as well. We also have a strong understanding that it is through the magic of science, innovation, the belief that by being effective in the classroom and learning and studying and figuring out the scientific ways on how to defeat something, that we eventually are able to do that, which is also really fantastic as well. So knowledge is key, knowledge is power, knowledge is wealth. All of that can also be implied and applied to this film as well. Now, no movie is perfect indeed. We do have flaws with this one as well, quite a number, I feel, quite a number. So the time travel aspect for me is always flawed. Always. Because like, as soon as you put it in there, it just raises like 1,000 different questions, like 1,000. Question number 1, why didn't they just kill a monster, bring it back through, or have a captured one live and sedate the crap out of it, time travel it through, and then give us the 20 to 30 years to study it in order to kill it when it does awaken? It's flawed. Time travel will always be flawed in my eyes. Whether or not it works well for the movie, which is why for me, time travel needs to be more of a centerpiece in a good story. For me to appreciate a good movie about time travel, you kind of got to put it at the forefront, at the center of it. And it didn't really. And while I do agree that it works well thematically, and while I do think that the information they gave us was enough for me to believe and understand it and be able to accept it, it's only because I already have admitted to myself that time travel is a difficult aspect to write. It always has been, and it probably always will be. It has been done well. There are countless movies. We've seen the clips. They're there. Flaw number 2, I think, is the monsters themselves. While they did introduce themselves really well, I did find that they went from being very difficult to kill and initially being able to feel that dread whenever a monster was there to just being like, a butter knife could cut their head off and you'll be fine. Like, they just went from being like unkillable or really difficult to being killed to just like, you know, I'll flick my finger at you and all of a sudden, you know, a couple of bullet shots with the gun and you're dead. So normally for a good, when you put action in a film, it's still got to serve a purpose. You still want the character to go through and change from that fight, from that sequence. And I definitely felt that in this case, it was very much like, here's some action, and here's the story. They kind of didn't interweave the two aspects of the film very neatly. And so you kind of left feeling like, oh, we've got an action sequence, let's throw in some deep character moments, and then back to some more action, and then back to some more deep character moments. In Act 3, you definitely felt the fight a lot more as well, but not as strongly as it could have been. Especially because they didn't really utilize, another thing that I felt was that they didn't really utilize the poison or the toxin that they made that could kill the creatures very well. They used it once and then very briefly at the end, But if they didn't do that, then I would have almost felt like it was pointless to have that toxin in the first place, because it didn't wipe out the creatures, and no government wanted to actually take the antidote, or the poison, sorry, and actually fix the state of everything. They didn't actually be like, oh sweet, you accomplished something, let's go and make a bunch of these so in the future we've got something to fight and kill them and stop the creatures. There was none of that. And so it almost kind of made getting the toxin pointless, almost, not quite, but almost. And so yeah, it just kind of went under the radar a bit, which kind of upset me. Like, instead of using the toxin to wipe out all the monsters on that spaceship at the end of the film, they ended up just blowing it up like it was just ordinarily blowing it up. And it really confused me. It just did. It just really confused me, and I'm hurt by it, and I don't appreciate that. So in conclusion, guys, that does wrap it up for this video. I do hope you enjoyed it. As I said, still working out the kinks, still working out my own style, my own editing as well. So stick around. Hopefully I'll be making some better ones. Well, hopefully I will be making some better ones. None of this hopeful BS. So I'm going to be making some better videos as we go along as well in this journey. And we're going to keep dissecting films. If there's a movie that you want me to break down for you, then please let me know in the comments if there's something that you really want to get it stuck into and understanding its story and its purpose, because that's what I'm here for at the end of the day. I'm here to kind of introduce the story and talk about whatever, wherever. So if there is a film that you are interested in hearing broken down like the way I'm doing, and you want to understand it a bit better from a writing perspective, then by all means, let me know, and I will do my best to get it out to you. In the meantime, guys, take care, love ya, peace out, all that jazz.